a restaurant or a food truck, and my sister happened to see a food truck for sale here in Greenville, and I just moved here from Atlanta, and I kind of just took the plunge doing the food truck. And I'm usually someone who kind of makes calculated decisions, but I just was sick of busting my butt, for many years in the kitchen. I just decided to do my own thing.
So so how long have you actually had the automatic taco business?
Just about 4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
And this was the first restaurant that you ever had, first business that you ever had?
Yes. Yes.
So what made you want to actually come? Because you said you're from Atlanta, right?
Yes.
What kind of work did you do there? Were you still cooking there?
No, I was actually on a path to be veterinarian.
Oh, okay.
I was at the same time a musician, so I was kind of going both paths, seeing whichever one worked out.
Right.
Within the first week, I knew I didn't want to be a veterinarian anymore.
Right.
So, man, that's a tough job. But I was playing drums in a band for a while. And I knew I loved to eat, which is a passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I eventually went to culinary school. This is in Athens, Georgia at the time, and got a good job with a really good chef there. First day, I knew it's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Would you say there's a difference in food preference or cooking in Georgia and South Carolina? Do you think it's a big difference in the food?
Yes. Come from Atlanta and Athens, those are massive food cities. I mean, there's just restaurants that have been there for decades. Greenville is an up-and-coming city that has great restaurants. And the cool thing about Greenville is that there's so many farms here. And you see, you can look on a menu anywhere, a restaurant in Greenville, you can see a farm that you saw on the side of the road passing by it. It's just so close to Greenville. So that's a pretty cool thing, the difference between Greenville and Atlanta. I still miss some of the food in Atlanta a lot. The food here is magnificent. The fact that you have so many farms here is probably the biggest difference.
Did you have to do any kind of research to see how profitable this kind of business would be?
I did, yeah. We put together a pretty good business plan, but I was looking at the numbers and kind of projections and stuff like that, and you don't know until you actually do it. And my numbers unfortunately were way off. And I remember writing the business plan being like, how am I supposed to project this? I have no idea if this is going to be a complete tank or if it's going to be gangbusters. But yeah, I had the numbers in mind to know what I needed to do just to get by for every week.
Right.
And that's kind of my minimum, what I need to survive on. So that helped tremendously.
I read in the article from off the Greenville, it said that you kind of, a year and a half you took after cooking there in Atlanta, you took like a leap of faith, and you kind of alluded to it saying like you had the business plan for it. So did you kind of have like, did you have an idea about, okay, I want to have this amount of money in my account before I finally just go all in, or was it just to a point where you said, I don't care, I'm just going to go ahead and just do it?
Kind of a combination of both. I think that it was definitely just like I'm just going to jump 2 feet in and just see how it goes. As I said before, I'm a very conservative person. I'll make a lot of rash decisions, and I knew something had to change, so I just went for it. And it happened to be a good time where we've been saving for my wife and I's wedding, and it's just a good time to try it.
And do you worry about money being an issue, or just going all in?
In the beginning, I did. The first year, that was always in my mind. Just, am I going to make enough to get by for the next week? And every plate that went out, I was looking at it and being like, is that plate making me money? Am I putting too much protein on there? Am I wasting money on avocados that go bad? Just little stuff like that. And that is important, but at the same time, you guys see the big picture. The product you're putting out has to be the best thing possible, and then people will buy it after that. So I was focused just on making the best product possible. So then I knew people would come and buy it, regardless.
You said that you like to eat, you love eating food all the time. But why tacos? What made you want to do tacos?
Tacos are just, first of all, I love tacos and any sort of Mexican, Latin American food. There's just so much flavor involved.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do anything you want with it. And I come from kind of a fine dining cooking background, so the whole goal is to kind of take those techniques and apply it to this blank canvas of a taco shell, which essentially do any cuisine, any food around the world you want to apply it to. So I'm constantly pushing the envelope, trying to try new things, and it keeps you inspired to do different things. So
How many combinations would you say you have now? Top
so we always in the menu we try to have 4 or 5 tacos in the menu,
Mm-hmm.
2 sides. We have a couple tacos that are just kind of mainstays that, if we took them off the menu, people get upset, and that's what they come there for. So we have our Nashville hot chicken taco and our Korean pork belly taco that we're really well known for. So those stay on the menu. The rest of them we kind of rotate in and out. So for example, we were doing some testing today of the buffalo cauliflower taco. So I always try to try new things and make sure we're pushing ourselves so that we don't get stagnant.
So you only have the food truck that travels around.
Just the food truck, yep.
What would you say is like the benefit of having like a food truck as opposed to having an actual store?
There's lots of pluses, minuses. Food truck, I can go to where the business is. People might not want to drive on a cold, rainy day out to a restaurant when they have, leftover chili or something in the refrigerator, but
Right.
I can drive to a brewery or a tap room where there's going to be people there regardless and have good business. So we can do a lot of private events, caterings. I go to where the people are as opposed to having to have people come to me, which is a huge advantage.
How far do you get to travel? Or is it any kind of rules and regulations as to where you can go in a food truck?
Not really. We don't do many public events outside Greenville. We'll do a couple occasionally, but for a catering, we can go anywhere we want. We've traveled as far as, we'll go kind of up near Asheville and stuff like that. So, an hour and a half, something like that.
Do you see do you kind of notice like any kind of pattern as to where sales tend to trend up or like a peak? The peak time of the year? Because sometimes I think maybe like festival or those like downtown Greenville, that might bring a lot of business setting up the food truck there or something. Is there any kind of time of the year or something that helps?
Absolutely. So springtime is spring and fall. When the weather is good, is our best time. April is probably our busiest month. You have so many events going on that are outside, weddings, festivals, events for the city. People are just out and about more compared to January where it's very cold, rainy, and stuff like that.
For you, what would you say is the hardest part of running an actual business?
I think time management. There's just only so much you can do as the owner. You only have so many hours a day to get it done, and to have that time to allocate towards prepping, towards payroll, towards keeping up with emails and marketing, actually selling the food. There's just only so many hours in the day, so that managing time is, I think, the most important aspect.
It kind of led to my next question. When you do have some time overall, if you do have time, in your spare time, what do you try to do with your spare time?
Pretty much music. If it's not football season, I'm playing music or reading, spending time with the dogs and the wife, stuff like that.
Do you try to study other chefs and see what they do to try to add it to a mix, add it to your tacos or whatever, try to do things like that?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I'm a big fan of reading, chefs that have been more successful than me, their cookbooks and what they have to say on techniques and flavor profiles. The cooking world is always advancing, and this, what's popular now and trendy now on a plate is going to be obsolete in 10 years. So everyone's always pushing that envelope. So you got to keep up with what the best chefs are doing, so you can stay in the loop.
How do you see the food industry potentially changing in the next few years?
I think people are shifting towards more fresh foods, healthier options. We've obviously seen a big jump in gluten-free stuff and just being more health conscious. But that's great and all that. But I think on the other coin is that as a chef, you have to start trying to thinking of ways to make delicious food still fresh and healthy, and using fresh produce instead of the canned stuff and stuff like that. I think we're kind of shifting more towards that.
When you look back, do you feel like it was something that you wish you would have done earlier in your career?
Yep. Yeah. kind of what we talked about earlier. I wish I would have focused more on just making sure the product is absolutely perfect before I sell it, as opposed to just trying to make it as fast as possible, making sure I make money on it. I wish I would see the bigger picture, not counting pennies starting off.
And it kind of made me think with my career, I had a lot when I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, they always say, I wish I would have started earlier. Because had I started earlier, then, instead of just, going, a lot of times we tend to just go work for a job and just get a check and they say they wish they would have started earlier. And it kind of made me feel the same way because at first when I was in school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do until I started broadcasting. But I started so late that actually when I got out of school, like I was telling you right before we started airing, that I just kept hearing lack of experience.
Yeah.
That's kind of what led me to pursuing this and doing my own thing. Because now I get a chance to sit down and talk to a lot of people about different things that they've done and ask them what are some keys. So one thing I love to ask as well is, what would you say is the blueprint for starting a business?
I think just having a good product. And like you were saying, you want to start early, but you got to know enough to be able to put a good product out there. If I hadn't, busted my butt cooking for many years, I wouldn't know what to do cooking wise, and I'd be selling food that wasn't as good as it could have been if I would have studied and worked like I did. So you got to make sure the product's good. Secondly, you got to make sure you work really hard and pay attention to the details. The details are everything. You can't go in thinking that just because you cook a good steak at home, you're gonna be a great chef and sell a bunch of food. There's so much to it. You got to work really hard.
How many hours would you say that you probably put into your business?
It's gotten less over years. I've gotten more efficient, and I've kind of figured things out a little more, how to do things easier. In the beginning, I was definitely working 80, 90 hours a week. And then I'm down to about 50 now, which seems much more manageable. But it's hard because at home we're doing emails, we're responding to Facebook messages, and phone calls, and stuff like that. So it adds up for sure.
Does it make you feel a little bit better knowing that at the beginning that you were putting the 80 or 90 hours that you were putting in was actually going into your business as opposed to working for putting that time and effort into another company? Does it make you feel a little bit better knowing that it was something that you built on your own?
100%, yeah. I mean, absolutely. At the end of the day, if you had a good day, you might have worked 14 hours, but there's not a better feeling than being tired and knowing you did a really good job that day for knowing what yourself. So,
do you think in the future you will want to start a chain of automatic taco or any other kind of business?
Definitely not a chain because our concept is very detail oriented, and I think we could have a few of them, but definitely not a chain. I think I'm just too much of a control freak to let it get out in someone else's hands. But yeah, I think we're gonna try to expand. I've got a couple of restaurant ideas, kind of on the back burner, pun intended. So.
What about storefronts? Do you want to do any storefronts or just?
So no, this food truck is probably the only food truck we'll do, but we have committed to doing a restaurant. It's being built as we speak, so we'll be open probably in June or July, around that area.
I have a friend, I'm not going to say her name, but she bakes cakes a lot, and I talk to her all the time. And one of the things she wanted to do was actually get a food truck, and I think it's kind of like the timing and everything. So I want to ask for her, what would you say for her? Because she really wants to get a food truck, and she does a really good job baking cakes. And right now, I think she's selling her baking at home and everything. But she really wants to do a food truck and just have. What kind of advice would you give her?
Just make sure that the cake is the best possible cake that you can imagine. It's got to be an incredible product. And then beyond that, just do research. Right now is definitely a good time to start a food truck in Greenville. It's people are coming in faster than food trucks are being built, so it's a good time to get in right now for sure. And then just have a goal in mind. I want to have a food truck open in 6 months, and then I want to have just keep setting goals for yourself and keep working towards it. Don't let anybody tell you no, because you'll have people say, well, I don't know, a cake truck might not work here. people don't want to eat dessert all the time. You'll just have dessert for after dinner, but if you have a good product, people will come find it no matter what.
And one of the things I'm actually reading a book, and it's talking about how it says that the universe doesn't conspire against you, but at the same time, it doesn't align all the stars. So it's like, it's never, basically saying it's never like a perfect time to actually go after something. So, and I feel that, and I often think about it, because it's not, and it's just like, we always think, well, I want to have this amount of money before I actually go into it. But the thing is that what hit me is, it's, something always is going to happen. So it's just like, it's never really like a perfect time. So another thing, would you give a message to people watching about, saying that I want to have this amount of money or whatever it is, waiting for this perfect situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's never going to be a good time to start a business unless you have some sort of an inheritance that comes in randomly. But you pretty much just have to do your research before you do it. Know that your product's going to be amazing. And you got to jump in with both feet. You can't have, another part-time job. You can't have, some hobby that's taking up your time. You got to be committed full-time, 100%.
Just stepping out on faith and going all in. So for you, when you actually started, you just quit everything cold turkey and went for it?
Pretty much, yeah. I was still I was working at American Grocery. It's a restaurant downtown that recently closed, but I was working there and kind of coming up with the concept. And when I got off work, I would kind of start mapping things out, figuring out projections and stuff like that. And eventually, I said to myself, I've gotten to the point now where I've got all this stuff lined up in my head. I've got to either take the plunge now or it's never going to happen. Because I know myself that I'd get too conservative and I would think, I don't know if I can do it. So you just have to take the plunge. Just start full on.
One of the things, one of my friends, we sparked this great conversation as well, saying that, a lot of times people use the word brainwash because just working at the job and everything. And it just sparked a great conversation. One of the things when I chimed in is, I didn't use the word brainwash. I said people kind of feel like they can get too comfortable at a job and they just settle. And it's like, it's certain things. For me, I was working 2 jobs and it just pushed me because I was like, man, I'm doing the same thing over and over. I would work in the morning, get off, get a little break, and then go to my night job and then work there. And then just like I just fell in the cycle.
Yeah.
So working 2 jobs kind of just like, that was kind of my breaking point to where it was just something like, okay, I need to do this for myself. So I know you said that you were just like, you know what, you just gonna quit. But was it something while you were working that kind of just like, okay, this is my breaking point where I know I have to leave?
I really enjoyed the job I had before I left, so I think it's a little different experience for me than most people because there wasn't a day where I just threw my hands in there and said, I'm done, doing a food truck. It was more so just kind of projecting everything back and everything out and just trying to find the right time to do it. But there's really not a right time. You kind of just have to one day do it. You can get in that complacent mindset where it's like, all right, it's really easy to stay in that loop.
Exactly.
It's easy to stay, all right, well, I'll figure it out later. I'll do the research later. But eventually you have to do it or else. I think I just realized that if I didn't do it, it was never going to happen.
And plus, it probably helped that you took culinary classes as well, right? So you were kind of doing things that you were kind of like learning for. Like for me, when I went to school, I didn't. After I graduated from college, I didn't have anything broadcasting except for working at a radio station. But I left there because of student loans. So once I picked up my second job, it was nothing was related to my field of work. So that's something that really kind of made it. The money was okay, but I mean, it was still like I just don't value that money. It's not. It doesn't really mean anything. Money just comes and goes.
Yep.
And I just try to tell people that all the time. But also, I've got a couple more questions before we get out here. How do you view your business so far?
I'm extremely happy with it. Working for yourself, just all the work you put in is for yourself, it's for your business. So it builds a lot of confidence, and I couldn't be happier. It's hard work and it's a lot to do, but at the end of the day, there's not a better feeling in the world than accomplishing things for yourself and watching something go from, certain 15 people making negative money to certain, 200 people, and making people happy with food. So,
What's something you feel like you might have learned about yourself that you didn't know from actually starting your own business?
it's a good question. I think I've learned that you can always push yourself further than what you think. When you think you're tired and this business you can't do any more because if you did any more, you just might collapse. But you can always find a way. There's always a way to push yourself further and make things more efficient, make things run more smoothly. So there's just always more in the tank, I think.
One of the things I learned from myself is, and I still get a little nervous with interviews. It's just the thing that I had to do was kind of step out of my comfort zone, and I just happened to. And I tell people all the time, they say, "Hey, how do you end up getting some of these interviews?" And I said, you know what? I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I just asked people because you never know unless you ask somebody.
Yeah, and all they can say is no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time in my interviews. One of the things that one of the people I love to listen to is Steve Harvey. And one of the things he said that it still sticks with me to this day is he was saying that, if you ask somebody something, ask for help and they say no, it's like, so what if they say no? It's not like you had it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can't miss nothing you never even had. So and that's one of the things I tell people, man, just ask somebody for help. It's okay to ask for help. Because everybody needs somebody to help them get to where they are.
I've done it many times.
Exactly. Who would you say were some of your mentors? Speaking of just asking for help and things like that.
The first chef I worked for, Shane Taylor, he was just incredible. This guy was, in my opinion, one of the best chefs in the world. He was just huge in teaching me and pushing me harder, knowing that you can't be satisfied with any one thing. You have to keep on pushing. And the second chef I worked for, Joe Clark, he opened me up to a whole world of creativity and using ingredients I never heard of and just making dishes all the details are a perfect symphony on a plate. So
my final two questions: are you in the future do you try to do any kind of competitions or anything like that, or just strictly about just business work?
I used to do a lot of competitions a few years ago, but once the truck started, we just haven't been. I've just been focused on our next event rather than branch off into competitions. There's a few things here and there, but it'd be better for us to allocate our time towards making our business grow.
Final question: what is your ultimate goal?
I think to just keep pushing this business and I think we've done well so far with our food and everything, but I think it can be better. I want to get to a point where I can look back and say, all right, this is it. This is as hard as I can push this business, and I want to have a couple locations and maybe a couple other concepts opening up. But being able to have my business and have a family life at the same time would be probably my goal ultimately.
All right, Nick. I know you got to go, so thank you for spending some time with us and letting people learn some things about you and your business. Before we get out of here, can you tell people your social media and tell them how they can find you?
Yeah, so we're on all platforms. We're on Instagrams, automatic _taco, and then Facebook, automatic taco, and Twitter is automatic _taco.
And you can find your location of where you will be cooking on your social media, right?
Yep, every week, every Tuesday night we put out every Monday night we release our schedule for the week. So I'll show you where we are.
All right, there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, this is Crossfire Podcast. Keep chasing dreams. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.